Candyman is one of my anticipated films of 2020. Well, now it's one of my anticipated films of 2021, and this film stars Yahya Mateen, who came from the Watchmen series, who played Dr. Manhattan, and also he played Black Manta. Also, it stars Teyonah Parrish, who came from WandaVision, and Colman Domingo, who from Zola. And this film was directed by Nia DaCosta, who is going to direct the Captain Marvel sequel next year. Yahya Abdul-Mateen plays a character named Anthony, and his partner, who's being played by Teyonah Parrish. They move into a loft in the now gentrified Cabrini. A chance encounter with an old-timer exposes Anthony to the true story behind Candyman. Anxious to use these details in his studio, he unknowingly opens a door to a complex past that unravels his own sanity and unleashes a terrifying wave of violence. And that is Candyman. So this film right here is not a direct sequel, but more like a spiritual sequel or remake sequel. But I would consider this more like a spiritual sequel because it's not a film that requires you to watch the other Candyman films to get this film. Clever way to describe this film is the way this film was constructed and the way this film was directed, pretty much presenting like a fresh take of the character of Candyman. Like the directing style in this movie wasn't similar to the directing styles of the other Candyman movies. This film was modernized. That gives the vibe of the Candyman as a fresh character, not a character you have seen before or that is recurring, but a completely fresh due to the modernized directing style. Now, I would say that the filmmaking is top notch with some of the most amazing shots, especially in the third act in the opening sequence. Like the music, the score, it has like a haunting elemental effect that brings more of an ominous creep factor to the film. I would say that some of the amazing shots revolving around the creep factor, it definitely built up the tension in a positive way, and you're going to see a lot of scenes that delivers mostly on that creep factor, not much on the jump scares. If you're going into this movie expecting to see a lot of jump scares, well, it doesn't really do that on that merit, but it does do a good job of delivering the ominous feel. And there are some compelling shots in this movie that shows the harsh nature of the violence, but it doesn't like deliver it all in your face. Some of the gore and the action sequences was shot in a different perspective, whether it's a shot utilizing the concept of Candyman appearing in the mirror or reflection to kill his victim. Like we see blood, there's blood dripping, we see body parts being torn off, we see limbs flying around. The scare is not all up in your face. It does bring like a mystery element to the kills, where it brings more of a creep factor in a way will make your skin crawl. So I would say that the directing style was definitely good in this movie. And also the performances from everyone, they all did their part. And also Yahya Mateen, who plays a character named Anthony McCoy, he definitely delivered his part, especially on the horror scenes. And as the film progresses, the character is slowly losing his sanity with the Candyman. You can feel the turmoil what the character is going through. Also, Teyonah Parrish did a good job with her role, especially revolving around the creep factor. And Colman Domingo, he plays like a character in this film. I don't want to go in full details of his character, but I would say he definitely delivered on the creep factor. You actually feel the ominous effect with his character, like there's more to his character than meets the eye. And as the film progresses, we get a little bit of a backstory on the Candyman, and also the film does a good job of fleshing out the main character's backstories. But then we go into the third act, and that's where things feel a little bit sloppy. As we get into the story, I wish that some characters can get fleshed out, but there are some other characters I wish that got fleshed out. Like, the film does a good job of giving out some small little hints of the Candyman, of his origin, but the film doesn't really do a good job of fleshing out the mythos of the Candyman, specifically for this film. Like, we get like a bit of knowledge around the second act here and there, but in the third act, I feel like it could have been a good time to fully flesh out the ideas of the Candyman, but it falls flat because the third act seemed like it was a little bit rushed. And that's mainly because the film is 90 minutes long. And I felt like the film needed to be longer, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes longer, just so they can flesh out the mythos of Candyman. and they can flesh out the motivations of Coleman Domingo's character. Coleman Domingo had a strong presence in this film, like in the beginning stages of the third act, but then certain ideas and plot points for his character wasn't fleshed out due to the film being 90 minutes, and his ideas and motivations seemed unclear because of it. And due to the film rushing certain elements of the story in the third act, I just really couldn't resonate what the story was trying to tell in that third act. Other than that, it didn't lower the quality of the film. I was still satisfied watching this movie. I just felt like the third act should have been told a little bit properly. But other than that, this film is still a good film from the first act to the second act, all the way from the third act. I still was at the edge of my seat. Now, I wasn't scared in some of the scenes, and it didn't really shock me or anything like that matter, but it does do a good job of delivering the ominous and creep factor. So I'll say you will be satisfied on that merit, but when it comes to the film trying to scare you, you'll be a little disappointed. But this film is still a good film I would watch multiple times. So I'm going to give the Candyman a Christian Bale Batman. This movie I will buy on Blu-ray, and I think you should buy it too. So that's my review of the Candyman. Have you seen the Candyman? Comment below, let's talk about it, and I'll see you guys in my next review. If you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel, join me in the Batman family. I have more Batman task reviews in the way. You have been warned. Till then,